Ladies and gents, welcome to Lucky Number episode 7.
8?
Is it 7?
8. Might be 7.
I'm pretty sure it's 7. Fucking correcting me, motherfucker. Right. Ladies and gents, welcome to number 7 of the Reelgood podcast. I'm here, Nick Stanley-Force. He is here, Kai Derrick. That's his name. He's just said it, just to confirm it.
Both of it.
Both of it. We're going to make this quick and painless, like my first rejection from a woman.
It lost.
But there's been a lot, and not a lot going on. All the important stuff seems to have happened this week.
Yeah.
But the major stuff's happening next week. We'll talk about that a bit later.
Exactly.
First up, hit us with some game news or games that you're excited about and why, Mr. Darren.
So, game that you're probably more excited about than I am because I can't play it because I am not properly equipped.
That's what the doctors have said.
Yeah. And those rejecting women. So Horizon Zero Dawn is absolutely smashing it with basically anyone that gets their hands on it. People are saying it's stunning. People are saying it's got so much like depth and character. It looks phenomenal. We're seeing like The Witcher in there, which is a beautiful game. Apparently it's huge. Apparently it works really well. Apparently like it is very dynamic. You go through all these different game types without ever kind of feeling like you're in different games.
Yeah.
Fantastic. That is a really exciting thing to hear. People have been comparing it to like in terms of sort of how great the game is to Uncharted 4. Which, that's I have not played the Uncharted game, so I couldn't say, but is that to you quite a bold statement?
Yeah, massively. I'm a massive fan of the Uncharted games. 4 had its moments that sort of excelled, sent it into the stratosphere in comparison to the previous ones, with particular set pieces and stuff like that. And they've always felt and moved like action films, and 4 did exactly the same. But sort of repeating what you said, that by the sounds of things, it's the best elements of a load of different games. Now, I've never played Witcher, so it would be interesting to see like what I pick up from it and go, oh, I actually want to play Witcher now. Just the detail in it so far, what I've seen, like we watched on the bus here, like the 24-hour time lapse of just a day, just stood there, your character just chilling, watching the whole world go by. It looks amazing. And then
it's one of those games where
like robot dinosaurs in there.
It's like, can I just watch this instead of looking outside?
Yeah. I mean, one thing I've noticed as well in footage that I've seen is that it does have a photo mode.
Yeah.
Which Uncharted 4 did have, and there were times in that game where I was like, I remember playing that and pausing it, thinking, God, like this is even pausing it and just looking at moments.
With the photo mode, does it just strip away the?
It takes away all the menu, and you can basically zoom out, pan the shot around, like put it exactly how you want it wherever they are, and just snap it. So and then have it as your wallpaper.
Interestingly, The Witcher has a mode, not a mode, but every single element of the HUD is removable.
Oh right, okay.
So you can select, you can also change the opacity. So you can get rid of everything if you wanted to.
I don't need to know my health.
Literally. So you can get rid of your health, enemy's health, map, every single thing on that game. So it's literally just you running through the game, enjoying the landscape, and you see these screenshots. You're like, fucking hell, that's amazing. Yeah. Without any mods, and that's how they do it.
That's, like you say, it's taking the best bits from a lot of games, so I'm really looking forward to seeing it. I was reluctant for it when I first saw it, just because I thought, what's the merging of this? Like, because from
what's it going to be? Is it going to be like Far Cry Primal, but with robots instead of animals?
And I was just sort of reluctant for that. One big observation you've made is that obviously the character is female,
and that's not.
No one seems to have cared about it, which is
amazing.
Sign.
Like that is such a progressive view to have on a game. Like the fact that we've now reached a stage where a woman can be the central character of a game without being a pair of breasts. Yeah. Like she's not over sexualized. She's not.
She looks kitted out.
Yeah, she looks like you'd expect a hunter to look.
Yeah.
Like
badass.
Basically, yeah. I think it's just going to be one of those completely unstated. You're not gonna be questioning, oh, why is it a woman? Like, I don't think it will matter, and that's what's important. You shouldn't have to be able to pick a male or female. You should just be told this is the character you're having, and you're gonna love it for this. Yeah. Like, you write a character well enough, and you don't care who they are. Like, I don't give a shit if my character, the person I'm playing, is male or female. Like, you make me want to believe that character.
Yeah.
That's all I care about.
And make it through the game.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was going to ask as well. Do you think, because it's got so many elements of Witcher, Fallout, Uncharted, Fallout particularly, and obviously you can do character customization on that, which is something we talked about a while ago. But in reference to that, do you think, well, we haven't played the game yet, so I don't know how integral and important it is in the fact that she is a woman. But it'd be interesting to see how that factors in. Do you think it would have made a difference?
No, I don't think it. I don't. Honestly, if it's written well enough, I don't think it makes a darn sight bit of difference. Yeah. The benefit of having a non-character customization, non-creation for character, is they can write dialogue. They can write interaction with other characters without having to go, "Hello,
insert name here,"
and then carrying on. So you get that. You get a seamless
fluidity.
dialogue. You get those people being able to have conversations with each other without it feeling like, "Hi, how are you?"
Long pause.
And it's just like no one. There's nothing less immersive than that. Like with Fallout, it works because it's all text-based dialogue, so you're just reading it and that's fine.
Yeah.
But in this sort of game where it looks so cinematic and so beautiful, you would feel silly to have text dialogue. It's like the future meets fucking 1950s.
Yeah, 2 steps forward, 3,000 steps back.
So that's a huge bonus of having that element is that you can actually write dialogue for them, and which is so immersive because then you start getting that storytelling again.
I think there's a lot in it now. The more I watch it, and I think we've said previously that with certain things, the less we see of it, the better. But I think this is one contradiction to that because
you weren't sold until you saw, was it a gameplay trailer or was it a story trailer?
I think it might have been a story trailer, and they sort of explained why you're fighting what you're fighting. But not only that, it was the various things you've got to hunt and how to handle them and how to take them down. Like you're not going to get, you obtain a particular like piece of equipment that goes right. These are the weak spots. Go for it. Yeah. And there's some beasts in there, man. So, and I think, like you've said with like The Witcher and stuff, that sort of thrill of accomplishment where it's like, oh God, I've done it. Yeah. And it's not going to be 15 times a charm. Like you'll have to size it up, and you're only going to get to the point.
You're not going to be rewarded for just running at it. And hoping for the best.
Success is like earned.
And so it's going to be strategy in the sense that it will be hard if you don't. Yeah. So you have to think about it in the same way that a hunter would have to think about hunting something that they one-on-one couldn't take. Yeah. It's
weird. Like don't hate the game, hate the player, because it's your own fault if you can't get it together. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I might have to partake in it. When's it next? It's next week, March 1st.
March the 1st. Yeah.
So yeah, you'll have the Switch in the week, and then I'll be hammering away at that. Yeah. I'll have a bunch of
thrilling
Metal Beast trophies on my wall, hopefully. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And it's been a while since I've been excited for a game. Really. Yeah. I mean, I was really looking forward to Uncharted. Admittedly, it had its moments, but there were more lows for me than highs. I think I was much more excited because
it's always hard with a franchise, though, isn't it? Because
I think it's the fact it's the final chapter. And I think with anything for me, where I'm like, make sure the ending's good. When it's the end, make sure it is the end, and you're like, I did it. Like we got there. Or I'm really sad to see these guys go. And with this, with Uncharted 4 particularly, it sort of dipped a bit for me. But if it's taking certain sections from it, then by all means, it was a great game, and hopefully this one will be as well.
I think what I'm hoping is that it's a game of sort of the calibre. Yeah. I don't think they're saying, it's like Uncharted 4. I think they're saying it's of a comparable like it's a well-rounded, phenomenal, beautiful game, which is great. Going back to the Switch, which I'm getting next week, 2 bits of news regarding that. Right. First up, bad news, as always, is so Nintendo Switch, the internal storage has been announced, as well as game sizes. So the reason why it's made the headlines this week is because the internal storage, which is 32 gigabytes, not a great deal. Obviously, it will have a Nintendo store for digital download, so you will be able to download games. and so there is a game that you physically can't download onto it as it is out of the box, so you would need to purchase an additional memory card.
Right,
It's a memory card, so it's an SDXC card.
Right.
So it's kind of I'm pretty sure that's one you can put in cameras and all
Yeah,
sorts.
yeah.
It's not like a specialist memory card that you'd have to get for Nintendo, which, you know, that's a relatively good thing.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh great, I have to buy the Nintendo memory card,
Yeah.
which means that they set the exact prices that it's going to be, and we've got
You
nothing
can
to
get
do.
one like
Yeah,
in a cheap electric shop.
If you know a bloke that might have one that could fall off a van, you know, it just like if that
happens to be.
Yeah, so if it just means that you're not looking for a specialist item. They are going to be relatively specialist, but they're not going to be Nintendo branded this,
Yeah.
that. So, you know, that's a slight positive. The only thing I will say is that the game in question is Dragon Quest Heroes 1 and 2.
Right.
Which for me, I'm just like, man, whatever.
Yeah.
That doesn't really bother me, because I'm excited about Breath of the Wild, as I may have mentioned.
A few times.
But so Breath of the Wild, that's only going to be 13.4 gig as a digital download, so that's
Shit.
the full game, yeah. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe will be 8 gig.
That's nothing.
Yeah, so like...
I've just deleted that on that.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, these aren't... We're not talking like absolutely... It just so happens that this one massive game would be huge as a digital download.
Yeah.
But the game itself, so I'm not entirely sure yet, because I know with a lot of Nintendo games, obviously the cartridge itself does often have capacity for storing, or at least it did historically.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's the case now, or if you have local save data, or if it's on the cartridge. Probably local save data, but I don't know how much that'll take up.
Yeah.
So that, you know, that's fine. Looking online, a SDXC card for 64 gig is $17.99 at the moment on Amazon, and that's not even with any discount. So, you know, that's not the worst price in the world.
It's not got you concerned. Overall.
Not me personally. I know this will concern a lot of people, because if they wanted to buy that game and they didn't want to buy the disc,
It would struggle.
yeah. But, you know, they're at the moment, really, we're still weirdly. Digital downloads don't seem to be any cheaper than getting the discs.
No, not at all.
Like, the only time I ever buy digital downloads, either they're in the sale, or I really can't be bothered to go to the store.
Yeah.
I want to play this today,
Yeah.
so I will download it. Like,
I think, though, in terms
convenience
of...
is usually the reason that...
Exactly, but then would you not say this is going to hinder the Switch? Because for a console that the biggest selling point, and I know you've said in the past that, well, you know, you're not going to leave the house with it, I'm going to sit on the toilet and play Zelda. For those that want to, they're not going to be able, they're going to have to get a big, not a chunky memory card, but with a decent size on it to jump between games if they want to download it, because you're not going to carry...
Yeah.
But then how big are the actual...
SDX?
Yeah, for the games?
Yeah.
Oh,
They're
right,
small
so
cards
tiny,
as well,
right.
yeah. So they're much like the...
So destroying the planet with massive cases for tiny, tiny cartridges.
Yep.
Old Nintendo.
You stay beautiful. So, you know, it could be an issue. The Switch itself will support up to 2 terabyte memory cards.
Yeah.
You can't buy 2 terabyte memory cards, and they don't exist as a thing that's available for purchase.
Challenge accepted.
Yes. But it will support them, so when they become available and they're priced at several £1,000s, you will be able to shove one into your Nintendo Switch.
That's what she said. Right. Well, as long as you're all right with it.
Yeah,
so
no,
I know
it
you're
doesn't bother
buzzing
me.
for it to unbox it and.
Well, I don't care,
crack into the
because
beast.
I will have the game physically.
The game that you just won.
Yeah.
Or anything. That's fine. You're laughing then, aren't you?
Yeah. I will be all the time. Yeah. So there's the good news about the Nintendo Switch.
Oh, sorry. Shit. Carry on.
So a relatively large game has been rumoured as potentially coming to would be future enabled for the Nintendo Switch.
Right.
So Naoki Yoshida for Square Enix.
Good guy.
Yeah, sound lad. At the Final Fantasy XIV Fan Fest, said that they were open to the Final Fantasy XIV Online being available on the Switch.
Right.
Currently, this is only available on the PC and PlayStation 4,
Right.
but it's got a huge following around the world. So he's come out and said that they would love to have it on the Switch as well. it would have to mean that the Nintendo Switch would have to be able to cross-platform with the PC and PS4.
Right.
Like, that's relatively unlikely given that Nintendo are so, like, closely guarded.
Oh shit.
Yeah, about things like that. But, you know, that's really important from the aspect of, like, a game that size, considering that Nintendo Switch as a genuine avenue for it to go, like the fact that PlayStation 4 and PC users could potentially cross-play with Nintendo Switch users, like that is huge.
Massive,
to see that kind of introduction, like, because cross-play is a huge thing. We all want it to happen because we all have our own preferences, but we want to play the games with our friends who've got other preferences.
World peace, a new president, and cross-play. That's all I'm asking. That's all I want.
You know, small list. It's not, you know, if you're listening, sort us out. Yeah, so, you know, that would be insane. Like, if you imagine Nintendo being the one to be like, you know what?
Screw it.
PS4, PC, come join us. We'll play fucking all of these games together. Yeah. And it's just like, well, shit, Nintendo might be the one to do that. If they can do that, then there's no reason why they can't take on, like, you know, what the fuck can't they do? If they were the console that says, you know what, PlayStation, let's get this shit on the road.
Let's get together.
Yeah. Can you imagine, like, being able to play FIFA with all your mates on PlayStation 4s with a Nintendo Switch? Oh, yeah. Alright, imagine you've got friends.
How many?
Give them a while.
One to play FIFA with?
Upwards of 2.
Fucking hell, that's generous. No, you're right, that would be cool. It's, you know, we've got mates that have got, like, it's like, you know, the biggest contender, and we always talk about it probably every week, is like card and first person shooters. They'd be the one where it's like the biggest.
And that's the thing, Infinity Ward and other games like that have said they would be incredibly interested in doing that. Even Rockstar have come out and said that they'd be interested in, or Rockstar have openly said that they want to put a game on the Switch. So, can you imagine GTA with your pals on the Nintendo Switch, and then you can swap out and play Zelda, Mario Kart, all on the same console? Like, if
you
this
blow my mind, sir.
Yeah, if this goes the way that it looks like it could go. It will be the jack of all trades. Like, it may not be it might not be the most powerful. It might not be the most highest performance game console. But to have such a breadth, like to be able to do so much, that would be more impressive because not everyone can have every single console. Like that's an issue.
And if you are, you're the lucky kid at school.
Yeah, dick.
But I think. I'm right, and I don't mean this in a bad way. I'm worried for you because I know you're excited, but at the same time, I really don't want it to just.
Yeah, it could all be shit, and I could look like a fucking idiot and be 300 quid out of pocket. Yeah, I have genuinely prepared myself for this moment where I'd be like, yeah, I spent £300 on Zelda. I don't care. Yeah. So you know what?
But that's what CEX is for.
Yeah, basically. So if it all goes tits up, I will just be selling it.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll give. I'd like to give how long do you think before you can give like a solid response and not review, but sort of verdict on going right? Well, I've had it this long, and I'm happy with it.
So I reckon 6 months is a.
6 months.
Oh no! So to give it a kind of this will be the console that goes places. Yeah. That's what I need. But to say
personally,
to be happy with it. I'm going to be playing it I'm going to be playing it so much in such a short period of time that I will probably be able to give you a.
Will you bring it to work?
Yeah, I fucking will. That's what it's. That's
spoiling off his riches. Yes.
Yeah. Find me a plug socket and we will play. That sounded weird.
That did sound weird. Yeah, I hope it's good for you.
I fucking do as well.
Instead, just an hour video of me just patting you on the back. There, mate. It's all right.
Your tears are burning a hole in my table.
Oh, yeah. You've still got Zelda. Remember Zelda? You like Zelda? No, I'm sure. It's got too much to fail. I think.
Yeah. The thing is, the worst thing that I think is going to happen is it will just be a gimmick, and it will kind of be great for those people that have got it, and it won't get to that wider audience. No, but what I mean is, I don't think it will be shit. I just don't think it will be as great as it could be. Yeah. I think it'll be one of those underrated things rather than
The second coming.
absolutely bollocks. Yeah,
Right.
I definitely think this is like it could be the next GameCube. Like that's what people are sort of saying that's what Nintendo want it to be.
Okay.
You know, and it could just be the next Wii U,
yeah.
which wasn't shit. People bought it, people have it, but
It didn't make a dent.
yeah, people forget about it. So worst case, in a year's time, no one will know what it is.
Yeah.
Best case, it's smashing everything out of the park, and fucking everyone's playing on Nintendo Switch, and it's the talk of the town. So yeah,
My fingers are crossed for him.
and mine. Yeah. So back to that thing that you said.
From one potential king of gaming consoles. Thanks, man. I like that. To a brand new trailer that came out this week, which I don't care what anyone says. I don't give two shits about this film. I want to stay positive. I really want to be, because for those that might have caught it, the King Arthur Legend of the Sword trailer came out this week. Now,
Don't give me that though.
no, right, because you love Sherlock Holmes.
I do. Yeah.
Not the BBC one, but the one with Tony Stark in.
That one too.
Yeah, well, they're both good. And they'll both be together in a film, and our noses will bleed from the immense awesomeness of it very soon. But yeah, so the trailer came out for King Arthur Legend of the Sword, starring Charlie Hunnam as the titular royal fella from both myth and legend. Now, this is on IMDb as trivia, right? Let me just drop this on you. So when they went in to pitch this, the line was, and I quote, from King Arthur, directed by Guy Ritchie, who did Lock, Stock and Snatch, and Sherlock Holmes and Rock and Roller. The line was, Lord of the Rings meets Snatch. And someone went, fucking hell, he's got it. Like,
as a concept,
you must take the ring to Mordor. Shh. You're going to have to repeat that. Like, what the fuck?
Can you just imagine Sauron? Oh, brilliant.
But yeah, to go off from that, so this is looking to give a hard edge, much like the same way he did with Sherlock, where it was like ding 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 ding, Holmes ding 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 ding, Watson. Jude Law's back, joining up with Richie again. This time as the villain, Vortigern. You know your Arthurian legend, is that right?
Yeah, sounds something.
I thought you knew shit. Guess I was wrong. Anyway,
again, a lot of these characters could completely be invented because they,
Vortigern. Oh, it's Mordrigan.
So there's Morgana, Mordred.
That's it.
These are all like known characters.
Saruman. Well, it is Lord of the Rings be Snatch. But yeah, so Jude Law's the villain, and he's facing off against Charlie Hunnam from Sons of Anarchy, who could have potentially been Mr. Grey from 50 Shades of Grey. He was the first choice.
Interesting.
Yeah. So from this, Arthur's like doesn't know his heritage. Then some sword in the stone rocks up. Turns out he pulls it out, and he's actually destined to be the legend that we know he is. Thanks to a sword that's legendary, hence in the title there. Let's see what he did. I'm still not impressed. Like I'm still not gone. Like, or not even to the point of I'll give this film a go. Couldn't, just nothing in it compels me to watch this. And the cast is, so you've got Charlie Hunnam who's alright, you've got Jude Law who's alright, you've got Eric Bana who plays his dad. Now, I'm guessing he dies at the beginning of the film, so he's one of the best on the list so far, and he's not really in it for very long. You've got Aidan Gillen, who is Littlefinger in Game of Thrones, who plays a character called Goose Fat Bill. That's a positive for me in the film to watch. And Jimon Hansu, who was in Gladiator and Guardians of the Galaxy and Blood Diamond, he plays Sir Bedivere.
Yeah. Sir Bedivere.
And interestingly, like there's a lot of names that were thrown in before this. So like Henry Cavill was originally one of the choices for Arthur. Merlin was going to be played by Gary Oldman, which I'd have been like, yeah, I'm in now. You've got me there. But then he bailed on it. Before that, for that pick, it was Idris Elba. No comment. But yeah, it just looks the typical Guy Ritchie, rough around the edges, making a twist on it. I think because I'm stung off Sherlock Holmes. This hasn't got me hooked. So how do you feel? Because you like Sherlock Holmes.
So I like Sherlock Holmes. Yeah, but whatever. So fine, because Sherlock Holmes is set in a London that's sort of recognisable.
Yeah.
Fine. You know, it wouldn't be too much of a stretch to say that these Londony gangsters could be translated into Victorian area.
Yeah.
Fine. Don't mind about that. With this one, it gets a bit weird because Arthurian legend is typically set, either pre or around the time of the Romans, which is what the previous King Arthur film did. It set it at it took a para-historical take on it, and it kind of went
because he was Roman, wasn't he?
He was Roman, and it was kind of all about their battle with the Scots, with the Celts. Those guys, and that that's fine. It went for a sort of, this kind of seems to be going for a steampunky fantasy. It's it doesn't seem to know where it's going from. At one point, he looks like he's dressed like just some guy, like a common drug dealer.
Yeah. He looks like. Did you ever see Green Street?
Yeah.
So because he was in Green Street as well.
Yeah.
And he looks like. Well, again, more trivia, just to show the direction it's going through. So, Charlie Hunnam for research to get Arthur's fighting style. Observe Conor McGregor. So a brawler, like UFC fighter in Camelot. Cause
again, well, no, I have no issue with that because historically, people wouldn't have had. There wouldn't be martial arts. There wouldn't be these kind of things. Right. So fighting would have been brawling. It would have been bare knuckle.
Yeah. No
holds barred. That fine. I have no issue with that. It just seems
polished.
It seems like they're trying to do both fantasy and London gangstery at the same time, which doesn't really work because to get the London gangstery thing, you have to establish a London.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't have existed. They've called it Londinium, which is fine, but that's what the Romans called it. So that's
is
one
that
time.
actually in the?
Yeah, so one of the cast is someone as Londinium thug or something.
Oh,
so it seems like they're going all over the place, and I think I was more sold on this before I watched the trailer. And then I watched the trailer.
I told you, watching trailers, man, just less is more.
And I will watch this, and I will probably enjoy it because it will be it'll be a fun nonsense film. But it kind of, so I originally, my excitement was with Sherlock Holmes and thinking it would be like that.
Yeah.
My problem is it seems to be too much like that.
Yeah.
Even though they're set in completely different eras.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that's going to work.
Settle on one or none at all.
Yeah. So
I think the biggest issue as well, one to consider, they've got 6 films planned. 6.
Christ.
Do you know what I mean? And this is what I said last week, where it was like, don't count your chickens. Just make one, and if it
see how it goes.
See how it goes. Don't go not even 3. Not even a trilogy. They've not gone. Should we go for a trilogy? That'd be really good. You know what's better? You know what's better than 3? 6. My God,
septilogy. I can't even imagine a word for that.
It's 6 trilogy. It would be sept would be 7.
What was it?
Hextilogy. Saga. Boom. But yeah, 6 films.
That's a fucking lot.
Yeah. Give me a good one at strike on the first hit. Don't plan 5 others.
Yeah.
I'm just not. Personally, I've never thought Charlie Hunnam was a strong actor anyway. I got it up until the final season of Sons of Anarchy, and I didn't watch it for him. I watched it for everyone else around him. Katie Seagal as his mum, Ron Perlman being Ron Perlman.
Great. Love him.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just not bothered, and it's really annoying because we quote Snatched all the live long day.
A great film.
Yeah.
And see,
I know you. I go back to Sherlock. I know you enjoy it, but if someone said, "Do you want to watch a Guy Ritchie film?" I'd go, yeah, have you got Snatch?
Yeah, I don't see. I
You
don't.
wouldn't pick Sherlock.
No.
You wouldn't.
I don't consider it as a Guy Ritchie film. I think of it as just a really good film.
Yeah.
What he did with it was really. I really enjoyed that his film as a Sherlock Holmes film. But I wouldn't go right. Pick a Guy Ritchie. Lock, Stock, Snatch.
Yeah.
I'd even go as far as Rock and Roller because I enjoyed that film.
Yeah.
I know you didn't, but that I would go for those three.
It's the weakest.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I would pick the.
The weakest is Revolver.
I've not even seen that.
It's terrible.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd go for any of those three.
Yeah.
I would that's a Guy Ritchie film. Like Sherlock Holmes was,
It's
that.
like it was a Robert Downey Jr. vehicle, wasn't it? It was in that Iron Man.
Great,
explosion.
and I think that's one of the reasons why I was drawn to it. I think I remember sitting in the cinema and then watching it end and go, oh, he did. Oh, that makes sense. Like I wasn't drawn to it because it was a Guy Ritchie film. I was drawn to it because it was Sherlock Holmes and Robert Downey Jr.
And that was weird.
That was.
I think as well. That's another thing. You've got a massive character, well-known character, played by at that point and still a huge, well-known actor. Charlie Hunnam's not that popular. It might be very much his year this year because he's got that and a film with Robert Pattinson called Lost City of Z, which you might be interested in because that's
actually I saw the trailer for that. It does look quite.
Yeah, it does look good. Yeah, so it could be his year, but this ain't the way to start it. I'm just not.
See, this is. So, do you remember the Clash of Titans?
Clash of the Titans, yeah.
That seems to be where this kind of absurd fantasy film.
Because I've seen bits with Excalibur where he's like cracking fools, and it looks like he's got Thor's hammer. Like, just strike them down. Don't blow them into dust with one swing. I'm just like, we could talk about this, the faults with it, but
and I think we might, but I will watch it, and it quite possibly could be garbage. Like, I think I'm just going to have to take it for what it is. It will be very much a
popcorn film.
What is it as face value? Yeah, don't.
I mean, it comes out as well. It's noted. It's going to aim to be like a summer film because it comes out in May.
Yeah.
May the 12th. It's out. We'll see how it will go. I'll go, but I'm not expecting.
No.
Guy Ritchie back on form.
No, I don't think it will be like that. I think the trailer makes it look incredibly convoluted. I'm very big on Arthurian legend. Like, I grew up on it. That is the things that I knew. So it's obviously going to be a completely different take on it from that. They've definitely gone for like, instead of hyper realistic, or not hyper realistic, but pseudo realistic. They've gone for just fuck it. Yeah, go for all of it. Whatever.
Wouldn't it be good if he was a UFC fighter? Yeah.
Yeah, but as I said before, that's probably the most believable part of the whole film. Like, that's relatively close to nail. Yeah, like brawling is how they would have fought. There wouldn't have been like people who are Brazilian jiu-jitsu because where the fuck's Brazil? That wouldn't have even.
Well, we'll find that out in chapter 4, 5, and 6. Arthur just being like, I shall call this place Brazil.
King Arthur, where the fuck is Brazil?
Step aside, we'll have those films. 50-50, I really take it or leave it, couldn't care less. Legend of the Sword, Legend of the Board. Moving on to a film that genuinely, this was one film whereas King Arthur I'm not fussed about, I was sort of similar with Patriots Day, which is out this week. I wasn't expecting much of it.
Did you sort of think kind of typical memorial style film?
Yeah. So this is, for those that don't know, this is about the 2013 Boston bombing. And it's the second film this year with director Peter Berg and Mark Wahlberg, because the previous film they did was Deepwater Horizon, which was about the BP oil spill.
Yes.
So they are just jumping on the true stories.
Now they're like the disaster films.
Yeah,
that's where they go.
and they obviously struck a chord and stuff like that. And I was really, really pleasantly surprised because for me, Peter Berg, I don't know if you might not have seen many of his films. So he did the film of Friday Night Lights. He did The Kingdom with Jamie Foxx in. I'm going to name her all this off. Yeah, exactly. Like he's been up and down through the years. Was sort of took from the tutelage of like a lot of his films of Tony Scott, like Jerry Bruckheimer films, where they had bang to them, but they had a bit of brain as well. Kingdom particularly, and something that really, whilst watching this, really harked back to that. Because, like you say, you know, it could have very much been a memorial film, and it is, because you can't hide the fact that this is a film about the Boston bombing, and at some point through this film, tragedy will strike, and you know it's coming. How he handles it is like really, really.
So, if, for example, if you didn't know that this was about the Boston bombings, or you know, you didn't know that was a thing, would this be like a thriller? Would you be quite tense throughout the film? Like, would it be quite dramatic?
No, I don't even think it's a film about. I don't think it's a thriller. I think it's a film about recovery and tragedy, and how you deal with that.
It's more of a deep film.
It's because what's great, and one element that really stuck out for me, and was again harks back to the Kingdom, because Kingdom's about a base in, I think it's Iraq, I'm not sure, where basically there's a terrorist attack on an American a US Army base, and the build up to it is one like really sort of sets this location of these are solid real people who are living their lives, and then everything changes, and that's exactly what happens.
So it builds tragedy by making it human.
Yeah, massively. First, so because at the beginning you see, so the film focuses on Mark Wahlberg's character Tommy Sanders, who strangely is the one key character in the film that isn't actually real. He's like an amalgamation of various different characters.
Is he kind of for the sake of narration?
I think he's just there. Like, I think he's just part of it, and he's the compass that leads you through to
that's what I mean. So
yeah.
to make it easier to follow as a plot, so that you don't have a massive split narrative, or like where you're focusing.
Well, this
on
is what I'm going to get into, because so he's the lead of the film because it's Mark Wahlberg and he's good at it. Yeah. But then it focuses on like key people who were affected by it. So there was a couple that at the point they were in the crowd quite close to the bomb. Both of them ended up losing. The boyfriend lost a leg and the girlfriend lost both her legs. And it builds up these relationships with these characters of how they had lives before this, and how when it happened it changed and just affected everything.
So it kind of makes you realise, so it shows you their life and then shows you how it adds emotional context.
Yeah, massively, because
so rather than you just being like, oh okay, so that we're being told that they've lost everything, but we don't know what they had, so
yeah, it sets it. I think it needs to do that, because as well it takes notes from whilst he sort of has mastered what he achieved with films like The Kingdom, and there's another true story, Soul Survivor, and whilst I haven't seen Deepwater Horizon, he's learning. He's definitely a director that's adapting and learning as he goes. One film that really harked back for me was Paul Greengrass's United 93, which was about the one flight on 9/11 where the passengers brought the plane down, took it over, and it was very much these characters are so solid, because it's not just about Mark Wahlberg, it's about the people in the crowd, the families who link to it. It focuses on one character, Jimmy O Yang, who plays actually the guy whose car was stolen by the two terrorists when they went on the run, and he was in the car for the majority of the ride. They held him hostage and then he managed to get away. All these people, you've never seen them before in films. I haven't, to my knowledge, and yet I think that strengthens it, because you're not looking at Mark Wahlberg. You're looking at a woman and a guy who were happy and married, and something tore their life apart.
And as far as you're concerned, they are the two people that were there, and it was
exactly.
them.
I mean, it's worth noting as well that for this particular character, the guy, the driver that was sort of held hostage, he actually appears in it as like a brief sort of cameo in the background. I mean, whilst it is very much about the people of Boston and how they dealt with it, and how tragedy can bring people together in a way we have seen before, like 9/11, like the London bombings. It's with a deed of such hate, love overcomes it. As cliched as it sounds, this is a wonderful display of how that works. But at the same time, you have got that star calibre. So John Goodman's in it, J.K. Simmons, who is just J.K. Simmons could sell baked beans for me, and I'd still be like, just give them. I'll buy them all. Don't worry about it, because
sign me up.
Oscar, yeah, exactly. Oscar winning from Whiplash, and then in this, he's not a massive performance, but it's enough.
But it is a good, but like it's solid. There's no point where you go, oh, he's just here for.
Yeah, it's just John Goodman. So we'll go through it because Tommy Sanders, Mark Wahlberg's character, who manages to be at every pivotal moment through this ordeal that happened. So he's there at the marathon. He's then there when so he goes to the FBI sort of confirm it's terrorism. They set up a new layout of the scene, and he's managed to pinpoint where the bombers were, their escape route was. Then he meets the driver of the car that was held hostage, and it's like, God, this guy was everywhere. And then
he gets around.
Yeah, and then you were like, oh, he's not real. That's why.
Yeah.
And like you say, he is very much the compass of the film.
But then sometimes you need that because it might not have the same drive if it didn't.
Well, you do, but then at the same time, because Peter Berg's done such a good job of establishing characters that you don't know about, and they feel more solid and real people, you could watch all these other people, because it doesn't, Mark Wahlberg gets to a point where his character sort of steps back a bit, and then it does go into the people of Boston, this couple who got separated in different hospitals, didn't even know if the other one was alive. Then you've got the poor guy that got held hostage in the car. He's like, he does very little. He does a lot with very little that he's got, because he's this sort of poor English spoken Chinese student who's just doesn't know what to do. And it's another great thing I always think for particularly films like this where it tells true stories, is where you're that absorbed, even when you know what's going to happen, you still are urging something to happen. Yeah. So, because I followed this when it happened, and I knew the guy got away, but I was still like, oh my God, just get out of the car. And that's the art. That's the sign of a really good director, which Peter Berg has definitely become over the years, particularly for a guy who directed Battleship. But do you know what I mean? That's you have your lows and you have your highs, and this is definitely one of them. I think
stop making films about toys. Start making them about disasters.
Yeah, well, and just he's got that wonderful capability to build really real solid character scenarios. Yeah. So there's some haunting moments in this film. Like there's a particular scene where they can't move a body of an infant because she might have traces from the bomb in her. So they can't move her from the crime scene, and Mark Wahlberg's just trying to like, what are you doing? Like, show some respect. And it just keeps cutting back to this one lone officer on the street stood over this sheet that is covering something that shouldn't be there. Do you know what I mean? And you like, even now I'm speaking about it, I was like, no one should have to see that.
No.
But without seeing it, we don't know how strong and how great a response we can deliver when something like this happens. One thing that was a bit iffy about was, for one, Kevin Bacon turns up in it as the head of the FBI department that landed on this scene and dealt with it. He seems a bit too FBI. He's very much like, we're with the FBI. And then that's like when you were talking about, does anything take you out of it? That's one part where you're like, I'm jarred now. Like,
shut up, Kevin.
Yeah, come on, Kev. Well, you're better than that. And also the two gents that play the guys that did the attack, they're not good guys. We know this because we know what they did, but it's how they're portrayed.
Are they portrayed as evil people? Is it kind of that?
They're very one's very extremist. I don't know the name of the one they eventually caught, and he's now.
Because obviously they are only speculating.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's one thing where I was like, you don't know this happened.
You don't know, like they could have, I remember seeing in the trailer, like they're like, was this an act of, like, was this an act of terror in terms of like Islam? Was this like radicalist?
Was this a statement?
Was this just
two lines?
Was it an isolated? And they're making that decision, and it obviously seems like this film has made a decision on who they were.
Yeah, it's
based. I mean, it will be based. I guess it will be based on what they've established over that investigation. Yeah. But does it feel like they've just decided that they're extremists?
They just made them dicks. Like the one guy who was killed in the chase and like in their sort of apprehension. he's very much, he is the brains of the outfit and the extreme, and this is why, you know, he's doing it for this reason. The other guy, who got detained and he's now got a sentence for lethal injection, like that's on the way. He's like this too laid back. Like when they hijack the car, he's like, "Oh, does your car have Bluetooth?" Now I haven't read that too much into it, and I don't know if this conversation was ever had. But it really, I just was like, I don't like films that, and we've talked about it before, for access for audiences to have certain interpretations fed to them. Don't do it like this.
Yeah.
Like, don't make them. It's tarring. It can be very effective or have very bad effects on a particular group of people.
Yeah, and it's really it's upsetting because obviously there are facts. They did it. They are, you know, if they're of that religion, they are of that religion.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. We don't need to make them radicalists. We don't need to say, you know, we don't need to lean in any direction that it's because they're this or because they're that. We shouldn't be drawing those hypotheses or at least painting those hypotheses for people, because that's how people get demonised.
Exactly.
The media and not just news either, but how we entertain ourselves and how we, you know, everyday life. If people are being radicalised out unnecessarily, then it's always there. It's always in your mind, and that's not necessarily fair. Like, you know, if this is letter to God, you know, word as is, fine, whatever. Then it's fact. But you kind of, I'm guessing what you feel is that's not. You kind of.
I just don't think it's fair.
Yeah, well, because we don't know their side. You know, we don't. And
well, the thing
I'm not saying we're not trying to justify anything.
No,
they've
of
done,
course, yeah.
We know they're horrible people, but we don't need to make them more horrible.
Yeah.
In the film, their actions speak for what they did.
They've done it, yeah, exactly.
Like you could make them you could make them nameless. You couldn't even show them. They would still be the villain.
That's one thing where I thought, why hasn't he taken that choice? Because we know from previous events that have happened where people have died, and the police have made an effort not to name the person because we're not going to make them infamous. We're not going to put them in the paper. Like, they will remain nameless because we don't want to acknowledge them. And I feel like we should be going in that direction now, and they don't, which is fine. It's his choice. It doesn't affect the film overall. It was just my individual perspective on that, which is fine. As a film as a whole, Peter Berg continues to impress me. Like, he always seems to just excel with everything he does, and it does have real emotional depth to it. Mark Wahlberg, whilst I still personally think, for me, his best performance I've always tagged it as is one of his earliest films, which was Three Kings. I don't know if you've seen it, with George Clooney and Ice Cube in it. So it's about three soldiers that do a robbery of gold in Iraq. And weirdly for me, Mark Wahlberg can display emotion really well until someone tells him to cry. Because when he does it, it doesn't look right.
Yeah.
Like, I know these people that are ugly face criers. He's not an ugly face crier. He just simply can't cry.
Some that's fine though. Not everyone needs to cry. Some people don't. You know, we all there are some. Everyone handles grief differently.
Yeah.
Some people don't cry, and that's fine. He doesn't need to. He doesn't necessarily need to cry.
And there are moments where he doesn't need to do anything. Like, there's a scene where he goes to see out of this couple. He goes to see the girlfriend, the wife, sorry, at that time, and he's in the hospital, and he's taking statements from as many people that have turned up at this hospital as possible to get some form of information. And he goes into her room, and her father's there, and he's talking to her, and he's like, "If you need anything, let me know, you're doing a really good job." And he sort of has a moment with himself, and you see that, and that's all you need to see. But then he goes home to his wife, who's played by Michelle Monaghan. She's asking him, like, "Are you okay? What's happened?" And he just unravels all this information to her that he's seen, and you don't absorb it because I was too focused on him. Like, mate, you're trying too hard. There are other people that do as much as you, or have done as much as you, and I've still felt the depth to it that you're trying to get to and can't. But then at the same time, for that one moment, that's one drop in an ocean of a really emotional performance. And again, just as Peter Berg's getting better as a director, Mark Wahlberg is improving as an actor.
a real well-rounded actor. Because we've seen him do funny, and he is quite a funny actor, and he can do that. So it's good to see that he can also do emotional, like maybe not crying just yet, but he can do hard hitting. And I suppose if the right director's with him, then I guess that's what he can do.
Yeah, and you know, John Goodman delivers. He's the commissioner of Boston Police Department. J.K. Simmons is the sergeant of another police department that Mark Wahlberg's not with, but he was a real character as well.
Commissioner Gordon.
I would have been very wonderful. But he's very much, and again, it's this wide range of different characters. I don't know if you remember the sort of genuine police chase that happened, and these police stopped this Mercedes like 4x4 in the middle of the road and had a massive gunfight. He's so calm.
Yeah.
Goes around, flanks him, and he's like, "We're being shot." And he's like, "Yeah, no shit." And he's so like, he's very much the old veteran. Oh fucking hell! Like,
it's like, oh, I've been shot.
No, he's just tired, and that's another thing. You feel it's not just characters' emotions; it's Boston's. Like Berg makes a very strong case to say, this is how we, as a people, when something like this happens, how we all join together and we all feel the same. We all feel worn. We all feel tired. We are all questioning why has this happened, but move on or fight through it.
Yeah.
Not necessarily with violence. Just with each other, be there for each other, and it does have those really good moments, and I recommend it. Like,
what would you give it out of 5?
I would give it 4.
Yeah, like
a strong 4. Yeah, definitely strong 4. So it does have its moments that stand out, but then, as I say, the fact that Mark Wahlberg's iffy, it's good, it's a good performance, but the great thing about it is that it's these no-named, unknown actors that really sort of raise the film a bit more.
Oh, that's good.
And the fact that there's all these true characters, and then he just happens to be the one unfortunate cop in a big situation. And I think that's probably what took me out of it as well. It was like, I know you're not real, so all this stuff that's happening is jarring me a little bit, but it's definitely worth watching.
Because the thing is, without it's all, you know, it's all hypothetical. We couldn't say, like, we don't know if the film would have felt disjointed if he wasn't there. Like, we don't know if he was holding it together, even though, like, he didn't feel integral.
No.
But if you removed it, it would have been like, oh, where are we going now? Who are these people? What's going on?
Oh, well, I think, like I was saying, because Berg makes such an effort to make sure he's focusing on Boston, when it goes from person to person to person, it's acceptable.
Okay.
But it's still, you know, I'd recommend it. It's out this week. Go and see it, and it'll be, out of this week's films, it's the best of the bunch, I'd say. Recommend it, go see it. You might be pleasantly surprised. But that is now it for this week, folks. Thank you very much for watching. We've managed to squeeze it in. We've done a cracking job doing so. If you like what you've seen so far, thank you very much. But whilst thanks is very nice, and likes even better.
Subscribes are even better.
Subscribes are even better, so there should be a box button right about here or here. I'm not decided yet. But yeah, if you click that and subscribe, we'll be really grateful. If you've seen Patriots Day, tell us what you think. See if you did agree or did you well up like Mark Wahlberg tried to. Let us know if Kai is right to be as excited about the Switch as he is every fucking week. And tell us if you're excited about Logan as well, because we will be doing a small little video review, probably about just us screaming at the camera for 20 minutes saying how excited and happy we are we've seen it. Or you can head on Twitter and yell at us and stuff. I've put a vote up this week about Han Solo and if we're excited about it or not, because the photo came out this week. Woo! That much. But yeah, so you can head on over to Reelgood Tweets on Twitter, and Facebook is Reelgood UK. Thank you very much for this evening.
Goodbye from me. I don't know what we're doing.
I don't even know what's happening. I'm going. I'm Nick Stanley Forth, and this has been Kai Darrick. So bye, Kai Darrick.
Bye, Kai Darrick.
Bye bye.